Hello, everybody. Sunday Adelaja here. We are continuing with this series. A leader is a ladder. A leader is a ladder. And today we're going to be talking about a leader is a people developer. A leader is a people developer. If you really want to become a leader, you have to develop people. I'm going to be giving you principles of people developing or principles of a people developer today. What are the things that will help you to be a better people developer? What are the principles that will help you to become a better people developer? And I think this particular I think this will be the end of the first part of my leadership, this leadership course. I'm going to have second parts, part 2, part 3, I think, because I have a lot of things to teach when it comes to leadership. Leadership is one of my favorite topic. I think that I'm a natural leader myself, or maybe not natural leader, but I'm a leader. And I like it. It's almost natural for me to exercise leadership, and I like to teach the principles of leadership. So I have a lot of principles that I could teach and that I would like to teach. So this is the first part in this leadership series, and I'm going to give you several principles that will help you to become a good people developer. But then I'm going to move into another aspect of leadership. Going to move to another aspect of leadership, but that is for later. So, but why do I want to give you principles for developing people? That because as a leader, you must become a people developer. You are not a leader if you are not a people developer, because the biggest potential for growth is not just to develop yourself. The biggest potential for growth is to develop people, because people capacity or human capacity is the biggest amount of capital that we have in the world today. Human capacity, human capacity is the best, is the greatest amount of wealth, is the biggest amount of potential that is available in the world. So the more you grow the human capacity, the more you grow your organization. The more you grow the human capacity, the more you grow your church. The more you grow your people, the more your church is maximized. What I mean by that is, let's say you have 100 people who are members of your church. You shouldn't pay too much attention. You shouldn't pay too much attention to growing the size of your budget, for example. If the emphasis shouldn't be on the money, and the emphasis shouldn't be on the building, the emphasis shouldn't be on the instruments and the choir and things like that. Your emphasis should be on making sure that all these 100 people that are coming to your church, that you are able to help expand and magnify, increase their potential, that you are investing in the capacity of each and every one of them. So your ability to be able to maximize each person out of the 100 people that come to you is actually more important than trying to grow your tithe and offering budget or your church building or anything like that. Those things will come if you will grow the people. If you grow the potential of everybody, if you will invest in the potential of everyone, they themselves will bring the people. They will bring more people. They will bring more money. They will, then they will be more grateful. But more importantly, God will be more grateful, and the kingdom of God is going to grow further. Now, a lot of pastors and leaders always wonder, if I invest in people, they will leave me one day and go. Well, that's not your problem. If they leave you and go, at least God knows that you have done your best for them. If they leave you and go, at least they will go and be working with the potential and the resources that you put in them. So let the kingdom of God grow. The kingdom of God will grow. They will go and do good to other people and do good to themselves. So the good will grow, love will grow, goodness will grow in the society. So think larger than your congregation. Think outside of your congregation. Think beyond your church or your organization. Think kingdom. Think the goodness of humanity. Think the goodness of the nation. Think about the goodness of people. Think about, problems being resolved. Think about, issues being, problems becoming less in the country. Think about tears reducing. Think about these people, being able to resolve their own issues and resolving other people's issues. So growing people is always to your benefit. Even if men will not appreciate you and would never thank you for it, or you don't have any to gain in the physical for it, but you will always have to gain with God, because God himself did the same thing. He invested in human capital. He died for men. He didn't just die for the Garden of Eden, or he didn't just die for natural resources somewhere, or for oil or gas somewhere. He died for human being. He died for human being. So it is for human being that God gave his life. And even though his redemption, his death is bringing redemption to the whole earth, but man is the very priority. For God so loved the world, he loved man and died for them, and he's living in man. So that's the greatest potential that you could develop. So the greatest potential for growth should not be the growth of just the numbers. No, make sure you put emphasis on the growth of individual person. Make sure you develop the capacity of individual person in your church. So there is no need for you to have 200,000 people or 100,000 people if you don't even know them, if you are not having a system to cause them to grow, if you are not working for their increase, for the improve in their capacity, if you are not maximizing them, if you are not helping them to reach their full potential, there is no need for that. So it is the amount of people that you develop that determines how successful you are. So your success depends on how many people you are able to develop personally, not personally, but individually, each one of them. The more people you are able to invest in, the more people you are able to develop, the greater your network will be, the greater your resources, your potential. The more you develop people, the greater you become. You only become great to the extent to which you develop people. And if you develop only 10 people, your greatness is limited by those 10 people. But if you develop 1,000 people, your greatness is limited by that 1,000 people. So to really become great and to really become successful is to develop the greatest assets and the greatest potential out there. The greatest potential there is people. The greatest resources there are people. So the more people you develop, the greater you become. The more people you develop, the more success you become, the more successful you become. Don't let us think that it is money that makes us successful. No, it is people. People are the greatest treasure. Don't let us think that it is the properties that we have that makes us successful. No, it is the people that we have that makes us successful. It's a pity that countries like Nigeria and other countries in Africa, they have not realized this. They have not learned to maximize the potential of every individual in the country and to invest in the human capital development of every particular person. If your country is as big as Nigeria, 200 million people, and you are able to develop everyone, and everyone is contributing with capacity, with capital development. If can you imagine how rich and how wealthy that country will become if everybody is contributing actively? At least most people, 80% of the country is contributing to the economy, to the development of the country. That will tell you about it. That will, it will become the greatness of the country. But like things are right now, when people are not, 50% of the people are not even educated, when 50% cannot even read or write, when even those ones who know how to read and write are not even, only 20% finish high school, finish university, and only 20% is really contributing actively. That's why we are backward. But in developing world, it's very difficult to find people who are not contributing unless they are children or senior citizens. But the active people, everybody, if you don't work, you're out of the system. You become homeless. I mean, things are so tough in developed world. That's why because they maximize the resource of everybody in the society. That is exactly what the church is supposed to be doing. We are supposed to be maximizing the potential, the capacity, the resource of every particular person in that church. That is what will tell you about that's what will determine the greatness of the church. So how do you do this? What are the principles that will really help you to do this? Number one, you've got to trust people. Because if you don't trust people, you will always be afraid. You will always be afraid that they will leave you, and they will learn from you and run away, that they will divide your church, that why should you put your trust in them if you are not going to be the one gaining directly from them. All kind of fears will be in you. But you see, we are not supposed to be motivated by fear. God has not given us the spirit of fear, but He has given us the spirit of sound mind, love, power. So, love people and let it be to their own conscience and to their own responsibility if they will be faithful to you or they will not be faithful to you. But just make sure that you trust enough to be able to teach them what you know, to be able to release what you have to people. But in most cases, you reap what you sow. You reap what you sow. So if you trust people and you invest in people, in most cases, people will be true to you. It's not going to be in all cases, because even with Jesus, despite the fact that He invested in people, out of the 12, He still had one that betrayed Him. So in most cases, people will be truthful to you. They will be, they will be true to you. They will follow you. They will be grateful to you. And maybe not everybody will be grateful, because like in the case of Jesus, when He cleansed the lepers, only one came back to say thank you. But Jesus was good with it. He was not saying, okay, because only one came back, I will never do good to other people again. He kept on doing good. So that's what we should do. Trust people and trust God. Trust God that God will cause you to reap in another way. Sometimes when we invest in people, it's not those people that will give us back what we have invested in them. It's not those people we are going to reap from. When we invest in people, when we do our best for people, sometimes God will cause us to reap from another place, from other people altogether, from people we don't even know. So that's why it's always a good thing for you to trust people, to invest in people, to do your best, to be truthful to people. Either they are going to be truthful to you or other people are going to be truthful to you. God knows how to do that. That's not your own business now. Just do your best for people. The second thing that you will need to do if you want to become a people developer is to treat people greatly. Always treat people great. Treat people as if they are God's image. Treat people as if they are God's likeness. Don't treat people like trash. Don't treat people as if they are nothing. Don't treat people as if they are slaves and you are the slave owner. Don't treat people as if they are your laborers. Don't treat people as if they are in your plantation. Treat people great. Make sure that when people meet you, they grow some wings, that they feel about themselves even more importantly than they are, that you make them to feel loved, accepted, that they even begin to believe in themselves and begin to think that they are even better than who they are really. So that means you are treating them with respect. You are treating them as God's image, as God's likeness. Treat them great. And if you give people that feeling of greatness, there are some people you come across that anytime you talk to them, you are depressed. You come out of their presence depressed. You come out of their presence hungry. You come out of their presence thinking that you are nothing, that you are not worth anything. No, that's not what a leader does. A true leader will make people to leave their presence feeling bigger than they are, feeling more confident than they were before, feeling, having more faith in themselves, and feeling that they are actually as great as that leader by the time they leave. That is what great leadership is. So if you are able to do this, if you become an expert in giving greatness to people like that. The gift of greatness, making people to feel great about themselves. You know what? They will begin to treat you greatly as well. They will begin to treat you with respect, honor, and dignity. They will be great to you. They will try to carry out your assignments. They will try to do what you tell them to do because they remember, what you have done to them. Now, not everybody will remember, but some will. And sometimes you only need one person to remember. You only need one person to treat you greatly. And once that person does it, it's good. So another principle that you will need to bear in mind if you want to become a people developer is the ability to listen to people. You've got to learn to listen to people if you want to be people developers, because the ability to listen to people will allow you to know what they are going through. It will allow you to see from their perspective and to be able to put yourself in their place. It will afford you the ability to be able to feel empathy and sympathy for people, to be able to know what people need. And it will also allow you to be a better leader and to be a better teacher, because when you listen to people, you know what they need, then you'll be able to prepare for it and you'll be able to give them exactly what they are in need rather than what you think that they are in need of. But also, more importantly than that, people feel appreciated when they are listened to. People feel honored when they are listened to. People feel, they feel important when they are listened to. People feel honored when they are listened to. So make sure you always, give ear to people. The next principle that will help you to become a people developer is to make sure that you communicate well with people. Communication. You need to be able to relate to them what you want to say. You don't just assume that people understand you. You don't just assume that people know what you want to say. No, you need to develop your communication skills. You need to be able to paint the picture of what you expect from people to them before you should expect something before you demand something from them. So before you demand something from anybody, make sure you paint the right picture of what you need, what you want from them. Let them see it before you now begin to ask them for something else. So communication is important. And communication is also important for you to be able to train people, to be able to coach people, for people to be able to learn from you, for people to be able to for you to be able to duplicate yourself, for people to be able to do what you can do. Through communication, you'll be able to duplicate yourself, reproduce yourself, and help raise other people to become leaders like yourself. It will help you to develop them. So communication is important. The next thing you should do to be a people developer is always think about empowering people. Anybody that's around you, always look for a way to empower them. Always look at what you could do to give skills to them, to put tools in their hands. So build your messages in a way that will empower the people to want to do something. And not just to want to do something, that is motivation. But what I'm talking about is not just to motivate them, but to give them tools, give them skills, teach people how to do things, teach people how to get things done, teach people the ABCs of how to do things, the nitty-gritty of things. Teach, set up schools, set up, people invite professionals to give them skills, to teach them, to give them tools, to teach them how to do things. Challenge the people around you to step out from their comfort zone, to learn new skills, to learn new abilities. Teach them to sit by the computer and learn. Teach them to learn to do different things from different departments. Encourage them not just to be satisfied with what they've learned to do. And that takes me to the next point. If you want to be a people developer, try to expand the mind of people around you, because most people like comfort and most people don't like to change. Most people just like to remain where they are. So, but it is your duty as a leader to challenge them, to challenge the people with you, the people around you, challenge them to reach out, challenge them to think out of the box, challenge them to go for self-development, for growth, for self-development, for for personal growth. Expand their mind, challenge them that they can do it, that they can do greater and better than what they are doing right now. And then, of course, give them opportunities to be able to step out and practice whatever you have taught them or whatever you are challenging them to do. Give them the opportunity to be able to step out and do it. Like I said in the other class, give them ownership. Let them feel that they are secured. Let them feel that they can behave like, they are the owners here. So challenge them, push them out of you see, like the story of the eagle. The eagle trains the eaglets by throwing them out of the nest, from a high, height, and making them to fly by themselves. So that's what you have to do with your people, and give them challenges. Let them go and resolve issues by themselves on their own. Let them try new challenges, new heights, new things that they didn't know they could do before. And that is how you develop people and make people to become great leaders like yourself. So another thing that you need to do to be a great people developer is to always look for opportunities to build others up. Always look for opportunity to build other people up. Look for opportunities to build them up. Always, if you're really a people person, if you really love people, you are not just satisfied that people are around you, everybody, you have crowd here, everybody running about, carrying your bags and, shouting, clapping for you. No, you will be thinking about new possibilities. You create opportunities for people. You will look for ways to build them up. Build them up, not just by teaching them, but build them up by giving them opportunities. Build them up by challenging them to take on different tasks and different challenges that they never thought they could do before. Build them up by expanding their coast, expanding their understanding and their horizon. So if you're a good leader, you would like to build people up by giving them opportunities. There is another point I have to mention here. For you to really be a people developer, a successful people developer, there is another principle that you have to bear in mind. Don't just begin by pushing people to go and do something. Start out by showing them your care. Start out by showing them your love. Start out by telling them and letting them know that you care for them. So when somebody comes to church, don't start out by giving them work to do. Start out by caring for them first. Start out by helping them get over their situations and their problems and their challenges. Start out by letting them feel the love of God. Start out by showing them how much you care, showing them this system, the care system that is put in church or in place in your organization. Let them care for people first. Let them resolve their pressing issue. And once the pressing issues are resolved and the pain that they're going through is not so damaging as it was, then you could begin to encourage them to now step out, to begin to serve and to begin to help other people rather than just putting heavy load on them from the very beginning. And of course, another principle for people developers is that you have to show, in most cases, you have to start out by showing people by example. So teach people not just by your words, teach people by what you do. Teach people by your examples. Let them see you do things. Let them follow your examples. Let them into where you are and what you are doing. Let them see what you are doing. Let them know what you are doing. If they don't see you do things, they will not be able to learn to do those things. So learn to teach people on one hand, but most importantly, learn to teach them from your own examples. You know, don't just be a leader that stands out and just gives instruction and say, oh, I did it before. No, be a leader that is ready to practice what he says, to get his hands dirty, to, you know, roll up his sleeves and, you know, do the dirty job. You know, join people to do what you are telling them to do. Don't just stand there and be a boss. You know, the best way sometimes to lead people, to teach people, is by showing them what you want them to do. Show them the example. Demonstrate it. Show it to them. And if you yourself cannot do it, get your people that you have already, because sometimes you have shown the example to the people who were there earlier. Well, let them then also begin to show the example to the new ones. If you are the top guy and you are no more doing the things that you used to do before because of different responsibilities, then let people who are closer to the people who are just coming in demonstrate by examples to them. So this is how you sustain people development strategies and be a people developer. This is how you build a system in your organization that will continuously produce new leaders, other people, and that's how you are not just the only people developer, but you build a whole environment, your own environment of developing people. You set up a mechanism, you set up a system that encourages, you know, people being released, people being developed, people becoming leaders automatically in your ambience, in your environment. And well, I think that will be the end of this particular section. You know, this is the first part of this leadership series. I'm going to continue it, but I will continue later. But meanwhile, you can join us with the mentorship class. In the mentorship program, you have a lot of other principles and truths that you could learn. So please join the mentorship class, which is sundaydelajablog.com/mentorship. sundaydelajablog.com/mentorship. Join the mentorship class. Will be, you know, it will add to you. It will add to you, definitely. And apart from the mentorship, if you want to attend our History Makers training, HMT, we'll be happy to have you. Just write to hmt@godembassy.org. hmt@godembassy.org. So we are expecting you at the HMT. And if you want to get the books, you can get them on Amazon, and you can read them for free on Kindle Unlimited. But if you want to get more books and you want them to be cheaper, then you write to my office, which is dssbooks@gmail.com. dssbooks@gmail.com. And for those of you who want to be receiving our messages on WhatsApp, or you want your relatives and family members to be receiving our messages on WhatsApp, you have the WhatsApp number on the screen. Just send us their numbers or your number, and we'll be send to this number. You know, we'll be sending our messages to you on a daily basis, but short ones, compressed ones, so that you don't need to spend a lot of money on data. Well, I think that is it for now. That is it for now, and I will let you go, and we'll come back to you tomorrow. Peace.
Have you ever experienced a 2020 as hindsight moment? You know, one of those experiences where looking back, you realize, oh, if I hadn't have known, I wouldn't have made that mistake. I would have gotten left instead of right. I've had many of those. And what I've realized at this point in my life is you learn really in one of two ways. You either learn through experience, which is often painful because we make mistakes, or you learn through people. What do I mean by people? You learn the wisdom of somebody's years without necessarily going through their pain. Pastor Sunday Adelaja at the Embassy of God here in Ukraine is a man of extraordinary success that we're all well aware of. And so I've had the opportunity after attending the History Maker training to partake in some of his books, and just reading one book has been transformative to me. Not only did I gain insight and clarity on mistakes and missteps that I had made in the past, but I gained wisdom on some that I was liable to make in the future. And based on what I had learned from, just a single book, I saved myself so much pain. Just to share with you some of the titles, we have one that's entitled Think Money Won't Make You Rich. And so you can learn from here what true wealth is from someone who's amassed money but has learned that in fact that's not where true wealth lies. And so instead of you going down that road, you can discover the same for yourself. Another title, Declare War on Poverty. How do you do that? How do you practically do that? How do you transcend that from an emotional condition you have to a reality where you defeat the poverty in your life? Do you want to take 20 years to learn that, or do you want to read a book? The next is Mighty Warrior. The nature of life is war. We have to fight for all the progress that we make in this life. Some of it's an emotional fight. It can be a spiritual fight. It can be a psychological fight. It's a fight in many directions. How do I equip myself to be able to deal with the daily battles that are before me? Or even another title, A Heavenly Atmosphere in the Family. Keeping a family together and keeping a heavenly atmosphere in the family is something that has been very difficult for people to do all over the world. I know even in the United States where I'm from, divorce is at 70%. Is it because people don't want to stay in love? They don't want a happy family and a happy marriage? No, they're having trouble achieving that. Find out how to in just a book. Life and death is in the power of the tongue. Have you ever noticed that relationships are often made or broken by what you say to people? Because of how it makes them feel, what it makes them think. Discover how to position yourself in such a way that you don't destroy any of the relationships in your life, but you only build them. Living sexually free. This is a more candid conversation than many of us might want to have right now, but this is something that undoes a lot of our lives, an irresponsibility that can bring about devastating consequences. And so it's important to take this part of your life, get it under control, and get an understanding of what it is that's actually going on, and how to position yourself in such a way that you don't hurt yourself, but that it's something that actually is a positive aspect of your life. Another title, Spearheading a National Transformation. Have you ever wanted to live a life that changed the world? A life that left an imprint that transcended past the years of your own life? One man has already done that. Do you want to spend your life discovering how to do it, or do you want to know now? You've got the capability of doing that. And then finally, the man that God will use. How often do we find ourselves in our own prayer closets, men, crying out to God, asking Him to use us, not only in our family, not only in our church, but our communities, our cities, our nations. We see the trouble that exists in all the lands of the world, and we want to be responsible. We want to take responsibility and be able to have an impact, not only for ourselves, but for the children we raise, whom we know we're going to send out into the cities, we're going to send out into the country, we're going to send out into the world. How can I become that kind of man? Again, do you want to spend the years of your life toiling, trying to figure it out? Or do you want to gain the wisdom of another man who's been able to do exactly what you aspire to do? And so we have a tremendous opportunity with Pastor Sunday Adelaja out of the God Embassy Church here in Ukraine, because he's written many, many books, nearly 100 books that express all the facets of his life that have brought success, the ones that have brought pain, and how to even bring healing from that pain. So I encourage you to take advantage of it. I encourage you to learn the wisdom of 40 years of life in a matter of months, because we only have one life to live, and I encourage you to make the most of that life. Thank you.
If you have been watching our videos and maybe you enjoy them, maybe you don't enjoy them, but still, we need you to help us spread the word. And for that to happen, we only need you to take 5 little steps. Please help us spread this word by liking the video. Then, if you have not yet subscribed to our channel, please go ahead and subscribe to the channel. We also need you to press the notification button, and the way to do that is to click on the bell. You see the bell there? Click on it. Then, of course, leave your comments. Let's know what you're thinking about each video. And finally, we need you to go and share the word. Share this video on your Facebook timeline, on your Instagram, and every other platform that you have. All right? Let's win the world for Christ. Thank you so much. Peace.